Morning, Steve. Obviously, we're looking forward to the game against Exeter, but just a little look back, if you don't mind, to the win on Tuesday night. What more did you learn about your team in that game against Wimbledon?
Well, I think we've learned now that we're getting much nearer where we need to be. We've got individuals who were missing early part of the season, or missing for periods of games. They're getting a lot closer to the match fitness and match sharpness that we need them to be at. So we're getting there. We're only a small group, as you know, Matt, but we're getting there very quickly with it, with key individuals that was always going to have to play a big part for us. And they're getting closer with the likes of Samuel and Dempsey and Graham, and more and more every week now they're becoming more influential. And that's what happens all the way from the Premier League. When we look at the giants of Liverpool, of Manchester City, etc., then it seems to be the same 4 or 5 players that continue to get them the points.
I mean, it must have been frustrating early season with the injuries you've had, not to see perhaps the best of the likes of Kyle Dempsey and etc. But how close do you think some of those players now are getting to more or less 100%?
Yeah, I think certainly with Kyle, as it's impossible for him to be any fitter. But in terms of match sharpness, he's getting there very quickly. But from our point of view, Matt, we just have to keep working with the group. Early this season, we were, as we still are today, very young, very naive, doing lots of work on the training ground with the boys, particularly Paul Rayner, one-on-one sessions, and Ian Pledger. And it's working, and we can see it's working more and more weeks where, we're playing more like we have to do if we want to break into that top group.
And let's look at this cup tie then. Obviously, we know about the carrot at the end of it is a third round tie going into that draw. But Exeter, looking at their league record, undefeated away from home in League Two, a 6-1 win last time out. I mean, we usually ask a manager at this stage, certainly when you're in the division above, if you're going to take them lightly or if there's any sign of complacency. But I suppose you just have to look at the stats to tell you that's not going to happen.
I think the FA Cup tomorrow will be no different to the last round when it had shocks all over it. There was teams from levels below beating teams. And it happens every year, every round. So there will be, the one thing I know before the FA Cup kicks off tomorrow, there'll be 4 or 5 teams in the draw on Monday that people would think is not going to happen today, and that always happens. So we've done our homework on Exeter. I went up to Bradford and watched them a couple of weeks ago on a 2-2 draw. I think I listened to both managers afterwards. Exeter should have scored probably 5, 6, 7 goals. Were totally dominant in the match. 2 sloppy goals away, but from that they were very good. And anyone who can beat Colchester 6-1 last week or in the week has to be very good. And I've spoken to the people at Colchester, said it could have even been more. So we have to be guarded. They're a young side, they're a possession-based side, a young manager that will let the players play. It's not a banana skin because I think they'll be in League One next year, but it's a game that we'll have to be at our best if we want to make progress.
And as you look towards that, I know you said on Tuesday night that you might make changes. You might, that might be the way of it because you need to keep all your players match fit and obviously at their best during that. So how do you approach a game like Exeter? Where does it rank in your season in terms of importance?
Well, it's number 2 to League One. League One is always the bread and butter. That's what we always get judged on as managers, and cup runs can come and go. But from our point of view, the 3 competitions that we can still be involved in, we're very much, despite a frustrating October, very much involved in League One. A couple of ones or 3 is almost on the verge of the playoffs, which would be great. We're in the FA Cup. We're in the Papa John's as much as we don't really care about it, but we're through in it. So the boys have done what they've had to do. It would be nice to be in the third round draw. It's a fantastic moment for all of us, and especially despite the government not knowing what day it is, they don't know it's Saturday tomorrow, like most of us do. But apart from that, I think the one thing that we are all pretty clear on, there is a vaccine coming, and whether that's January, February, March, and we want to be in the FA Cup and a vaccine's in place, and you draw the cherry, you draw a Premier League club, either Priestfield or away, and we get fans in the stadium, and we get back to some sort of near normality, if you like, because the football fans are the ones that we all desperately miss, from the Premier League to non-league.
And let's talk about that then. I mean, obviously the announcement yesterday from the government, not good news for fans, well, across Kent, in a Tier 3 area now. You're looking perhaps at your first fans being at that Cambridge game, that Papa John's game, but how much difference will it make for you to be, I suppose, away playing in front of fans, but not be able to have them at Priestfield?
Well, it's difficult. It makes it more difficult. And I think what it does take away a level playing field. And I listened, I was speaking to the people at Ellen Road at Leeds United yesterday. And I think Marcello's been quite vociferous in his words that it's not a level playing field if you're Leeds United having to go to Crystal Palace and play in front of supporters compared to go to Ellen Road and play in front of no one. It's really not. So from our point of view, we understand that Cambridge United fans are no different to Gillingham fans, Leeds fans, Peterborough fans. They want to see their team. So we'll go to Cambridge, we'll go to Northampton, we'll go to Plymouth, there'll be fans in the stadium. They'll quite rightfully get behind as best they can and allow for COVID times to get behind their team. But there is an advantage there. And I did think the EFL would say it's all or none. But once again, we're rudderless with the EFL, aren't we? I'm not in control of finances here, Matt, in any stretch. I don't get involved in it. I don't speak about it. But where's the funding package that the EFL chairman was talking about in August, September? I think he's gone on holiday. We don't see anything. We have promises from the Premier League. There's a difference. I can promise to give you £25,000 tomorrow, but you turn up, it might not be there, and that's what we're facing. So we're in we're in a boat in the middle of the ocean, and our engines are failing a bit, and we've got no rudders, and unless someone comes in quickly, there won't be the 72 league clubs below the Premier League trying to fight every week, because I know the Premier League said they won't let anyone go bust, but they will in time, because they'll just give them a mountain of debt, a big loan, and then in 2 or 3 years' time down the road they'll go bust because they can't afford that loan. So I said, fans are great, the principle of fans is great. It should have been all or nothing, but it is what it is. And listen, I think I've said to you, away from all of my Peterborough kind of fans at the home game, and I'm fortunate I can go and watch games, but it still allows people that I know and who love Peterborough to go and watch them. So that's great. But my God, it's sad for our fans, and we need our fans more than most. Our fans play a massive part at Priestfield, a massive part. And we go around the country, and some of the fans don't play a part at all.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. Certainly in terms of the Raynham end, they'd have loved to have been back sooner rather than later. Looking forward, I suppose, perhaps to that third round FA Cup tie. Have to ask you about that. I mean, should you be in the draw and be playing in January, how much does that mean to you? I know you've been to the fifth round, and we talked about that in every cup game I think that you've been part of. But just tell us again, what does that mean to you as a manager and to Gillingham as a club to be there?
I think it's really special to come out to Priestfield, and I could even say that as an opposition manager. I think I've said to you when I first arrived at the Gills, I used to come in the team coach and think, better get the crash helmet on, better put my American football helmet on, because that Raynham's going to give me it in a minute. And you know what? It's part and parcel of football. I've been at Ellen Road with over 40,000 home fans giving an opposition manager it, and it's part of the adrenaline, part of the desire to win. And I've seen it firsthand in my short time at the Gills last season. Late winning goals against a variance of teams. Sunderland sticks out to mind. Doncaster late goals where the Raynham men help suck it in, and the place erupts, and it gives you the feeling that you and I and we all love to have. And it's been taken away from us so cruelly. At the same time, I recognise and understand the science. I understand the medical side of it, but it doesn't take away that inside feeling. Sorry, I lose you there, Matt. Sorry, that inside feeling where it's a problem without them,
And in terms of going into the draw, and for the third round, do you have a particular team you'd love to come out of that one? Would it be Leeds away, perhaps, or Leeds at home, whichever?
Yeah, Leeds would be tremendous for both Paul and myself. I'm still invited up to supporters events. Can't go at the minute. Still zooming some of those meetings and having great banter and great fun, and really feel appreciated by the owner, Ben Reyes, and Victor, and everyone at Eleanor Marcello as well. So that would be great. Playing against Jurgen would be great. He said he brought press and football to England. I'll show him some DVDs from about 10 years ago in England when I was a manager. But no, in all seriousness, just get through and the draw will take care of itself.
And just a bit of housekeeping in terms of the strength of your squad. Scott Robertson left out. I know you said that was a precautionary thing, just to give him a bit of rest. Alex McDonald getting some work into his legs as well. How are you looking fitness-wise?
No, we're looking good. Alex McDonald is obviously in contention for tomorrow. Scott Robertson's in contention. He's trained particularly well this week. We just wanted to make sure we were looking after the kid. We probably bit off more than we could chew last time when he missed a little spell. We gave him 2 quick games and he had a little recurrence this time. We've taken all the medical opinion from both ourselves internally and, of course, from Glasgow Celtic and make sure we're getting that right.
That's great. And Tom O'Connor, how's he looking for the weekend?
Tom's not going to be available for the weekend. Probably he will be training on Monday, so there's an opportunity for Tom to be involved in when we go to Bristol on Wednesday.
That's great for me, Steve. Thanks very much.
Yeah.
Good performance on Tuesday night. How much confidence do you take from that going into this weekend, particularly as you ended that 5-year run of Tuesday night defeats? Does that give the squad some confidence going into tomorrow?
Yeah, very much so. You know, I wasn't aware of that statistic just about the Tuesday not being able to win. And when Phil made me aware after the game, not before the game, that we hadn't won on a Tuesday, I was really surprised. But it's good to end that. I can remember arriving at Ellen Road and they hadn't won a home league game for 8 months, and we shouldn't sorted that one out. So we've sorted the Tuesday ones out, and now it's just about getting some consistency in performance, taking, as you say, the right word, confidence from not only the performance against Wimbledon. We should have beaten Charlton. I think Lee Boyd accepted that. We knew it. And our performances in the last 4 or 5 games are continuing to improve. And we need to improve again tomorrow because we're playing an Exeter side that I think will be in League One next year. That's the biggest compliment I can give them if they keep the consistency in their performances.
We heard from Dominic Samuel yesterday. He seemed to have gained an enormous amount of confidence from that goal on Tuesday night. His first goal since September. So, you know, how key is that for a striker going forward, that he has regained that confidence going into this weekend? Oh yeah,
100%, very much so. I think Dominic is a super player. He can play anywhere across the front, and he's got 5 or 6 goals now. And I was having a chat with him on a training ground yesterday and just said 2 or 3 goals before Christmas, and he's suddenly got 9-10 goals at the Christmas period, and you're up there with the best of them then. We have to make him chances. He's the type of player, if you make chances, he normally takes them. So from our point of view, we've done a lot of the slog in terms of, he missed a lot of time at Blackburn out injured. We've done a lot of the slog of getting them fit. Now it's about getting them sharper, giving them that confidence to be brave in the box. And we've seen that with what simply was a Premier League finish when he scored the other night. So from that point of view, he's very much a big part of what we're trying to do.
Do you feel the pressure in the FA Cup, in a competition as big as the FA Cup, going into the second round against a side a league below you? Is there pressure in that?
I think there's pressure in every game of football these days as a professional. I think you have to understand it's a results business. It's why a lot of our colleagues lose their jobs, because ultimately those above pays a salary to get a team on the pitch and to work with your staff and coach them in to win. But I think in these difficult times, pressure for me is more about the health and well-being of my family, and I include that in my staff and my players. That's pressure, but equally, nobody will be telling me when the referee blows the first whistle tomorrow there's not pressure to win, because there is pressure to win. Your chairman is not only the owner of the football club, but I think you'd say the real ownership is the people that can't be in the stadium is the fans. They're the real owners. Without fans, there's no football. So we have to make sure we do a level best that when this vaccine is available to all of us, hopefully it's FA Cup time comes round again in January, February. Hopefully we're still in the competition and we have Priestfield packed like we've seen on many occasions, because around football, I've heard it said by friends and by foe that Priestfield on a busy night is a real tough place to go and get a result, and we want those times to return.
You've had some really good FA Cup runs in the past. How hard is it for you this time as a manager going into the second round with no fans and under the shadow of this pandemic at such a difficult time? Has it lost the magic for you, would you say, this cup?
No, it's not lost the magic. I think I messaged the players last night in our little group chat. It's FA Cup weekend. And I said it, last time when we played Woking, we didn't start the game well, but I still woke up in the morning of the game thinking, it's FA Cup day. And I think the minute you don't get that as a manager, then you start reconsidering what your profession is. We wake up, I'll wake up tomorrow. I walked in and Paul Rain and Ian Pledger this morning and staff, James Russell, talking about FA Cup weekend, talking about the magical times that people remember in the FA Cup. And as a management team, we've been very fortunate to go to the fifth round on a couple of occasions, and Fergie was very lucky to beat us man up, go to Old Trafford, and all those times you remember. But when you have a good time, and I'm sure we all think this in our personal life, when you have a good time, you want to repeat that good time. When you have a good holiday, you want another good holiday, and such like. So from our point of view, you don't get those big days without dealing with the days like tomorrow. And Exeter have had major cup runs. They've gone to Old Trafford in the past, drawn 0-0 and taken Manchester United back down to Exeter. So from that point of view, they'll have their own dreams. We've got to make sure it's our dreams that become the reality at 5 o'clock.
Steve, that's all from me. Thanks ever so much, and best of luck tomorrow.
Thank you, Jules. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you very much, Jules. I'm going to hand over to either Lewis or Mike. So if one of you wants to unmute and get going.
Let's go.
Go on,
Right,
Lewis.
you go this time. Okay, I'll go. Steve, you said on Tuesday after the game you were very you had a lot of high praise for Exeter ahead of the weekend, and then after that they went and won 6-1. So I think that just sort of backs up what you were saying, really.
Listen, they're not. Everyone classes them a young team. Are they a young team? I think they're like us. They've got a lot of young players, and they've got some wonderful experience around those young players. And that's the way that team has been put together. And we're the same. So in the main, it's two young teams that are coming face to face tomorrow. They're flying high. I think, we knew how difficult it was to play against Colchester. We played them in pre-season. I think we win 2-0, but it was a real tough game, and Spurs were well on top of us. And yet you look at Exeter, who tear them apart, and 6-1 didn't do that scoreline justice. I've watched that whole rerun of that game, and it could and should have really been double figures. I went up to Bradford recently when they drew 2-2. They should have won 6-7-8-2. I'd seen both managers accept it afterwards. So this is no average League Two team coming. This is a team that I expect it will be a league opponent next season if we're in League One.
And looking at their league form, obviously they are right up there. They've had some really good wins and a few draws in there, but the main thing, it seems like they are hard to beat as well.
Well, they've not lost away from home this season, and I don't think there's many others in the country that could claim that record. I think there's probably 3 or 4 in the total elite professional leagues, if you like, from the Premier League to the EFL. So they've got to be doing a lot right. What they do is right is they pass the ball well, they work so hard for each other, they've got lots of energy, and they have a belief. So they'll believe they can come to Gillingham and win tomorrow. They'll believe they're better than us. That's from their point of view. We have to make sure that we have trained properly this week, that we've tuned the boys up to be ready, that myself and Paul, predominantly me, get the team right, and make sure that we're in that draw on Monday. That's cup football versus league football. However we do it, it becomes secondary. You have to be in the next round, and some of the most best FA Cup winners, if you like, when you look back at their season when they win the FA Cup. For example, I look at Wigan. I think 3 or 4 times they scored late winners in that season to make progress all the way through to the final. So you have to find a way of winning a match, and that's they say it every week, but it's more important in the cup because you don't come back next week to get a point or 3.
Yeah, and obviously it is very different. But how different is your approach to knockout football compared to a league game, perhaps?
Well, I think how we identify the team, who we play, how we are going to play, how we see the game plan out is all different by different week. It's not so much, certainly with the EFL League One and the FA Cup, they're very much 2 key priorities. If it's the Papa John's or the Carabao, they're different strategies. So it'll be very much like a league game tomorrow, although I may make some changes and reflective to make sure that we've got fresh players on the pitch.
And obviously every game is a test. We saw that in the last round against Woking. But would you rather have a big test at this stage, or would you rather have perhaps another non-league side?
No, I think we've got as hard a test as we could have, other than going away or facing a League One club. We've got Exeter, who are top end of their league. They're flying pretty high. I wouldn't spoken to 2 managers in League Two that Exeter have come up against and said Exeter just boshed them from start to finish, outplayed them, outfought them, outworked them, outscored them. So we know firsthand how tough that's going to be. But we can also speak to managers in League One. We can speak to the Wimbledon lot if we did speak to them. We can speak to Charlton, and we can speak to Fleetwood, Joey Barton. was very vocal afterwards and said he thought they were fortunate to get the win. He deserved it in the end. He thought that they were fortunate. You look at Sunderland, I don't think there's anyone in the stadium that think we should have won. So it's two good teams in good form coming up against each other. We just need to make sure we're at the top of our game. If we're at the top of our game, if we play at our best, and our big players turn up, we'll go through in the competition. If we're a nose down, we're out. Simple as that.
And you are sort of, you've been allowed to sort of pick a settled team recently. But the depth is there, isn't it? There's a lot of quality on the bench as well, and that will allow you to make changes, I guess.
Yeah, very much so. I think part of the season is, as you know, we were struggling to fill a bench. We weren't going to put kids on there that can get them false hope for the future, or even have any thoughts of putting them on when we've got some experienced lads there, although they're young. Our bench will be loaded and strong tomorrow, but we'll deploy them if we feel we have to, either through a lack of form on the pitch or we want to change something. Our squad is getting stronger. The confidence has grown within the squad. The big game players who've been missing for different periods of time are suddenly finding a lot more match sharpness. So we're looking forward to it. It's another game to chalk off, and then we'll prepare for Bristol.
Just finally from me on that depth, we saw Henry Woods come off the bench on Tuesday. He's obviously been getting a few minutes lately. How's he coming along?
Yeah, delighted for him. He's a local kid. He's no different to Jack Tucker, to Joe Walsh, Henry. 3 kids that were on a piece of paper, a little bit of paper that I got passed to me when I first came in that they were to be released. We found something in them. Henry Woods is the one we've seen it right away in Walsh, we've seen it right away in Tucker. Henry we weren't too sure about, but he's made incredible progress this year from a kid that we thought we give him another year and we're going to loan him out to somebody he can play a part. And he's come onto that pitch the other night to see us through in a game when we had other options in that area of the pitch. So that's credit to Henry's performances. But he needs to keep very focused, very level, very positive, and keep working hard. If he drops that, then he'll go with the kids.
That's great. Thank you, Steve, and all the best for tomorrow.
Thanks, Lewis. And last but not least, we've got Mr. Green. Off you go, Mike.
Morning, Gaffer.
Hi, Mike.
First off, something you may not know, 85 years ago this weekend, only time Gills and Exeter ever played in the Cup. Almost to the day. 30th of November 1935, a first round win for the Gills at Exeter, 4-0.
I would take 1-0 tomorrow in the FA Cup. But yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? It's amazing how the FA Cup brings up scenarios where teams play teams and there's a history and there's a result involved. Listen, for us to go and beat Exeter 4, we really need to put in our best performance of the season, because I really like this Exeter team. There's 3 or 4 lads in there that I would sign tomorrow if funds were available. So we have to respect our opponent fully, and if we don't respect him, Mike, we'll be out. This is the difference of a cup and a league game. You can't be unlucky in a league game and come back next week. You can be unlucky in a league game and come back next week. FA Cup, if you're unlucky and on the out.
I guess when you look back at last season, when you got to the 3rd round and got West Ham, it was the same sort of time of year that your form really picked up.
Yeah, I think that just comes because we consistently, in 2 seasons of year, have had to build a new team. We didn't expect to be losing as many players like the Amirs and the Hamlins, who quickly... Sorry, Mike, lost you there. We didn't expect to be losing the Amirs and the Hamlins like we did, but we did because the chairman protected our football club. I as a manager get frustrated with that. I as a person with a business brain wholly understand it. So I understood it. So we've had to build 2 separate teams in 2 years, 2 different strategies. But we often have to do that at football clubs, because normally we go in, what we're going in and inheriting is which short where we need to be, and there can be no disputing that when we arrived in Gillingham, it was a bit of a mess on the football side, and that was no fault of our chairman. I say it is because he provided the same budget then as what he provides today. We're probably spending less, and we've significantly improved what we've got. So that just comes from working hard and getting people to buy into the project.
But getting into round 3 and getting a Premier League side at home, it just created the buzz that took everybody through Christmas and New Year, didn't it?
I think last year it certainly did. I think Moisey didn't sleep for a few nights coming up against them. So, hey, listen, they know that They know they came in that night and with the balaclavas and went away through the next round of the cup because we played really well. And if we go in front that night, I think we win. I don't think there's many disputing that. But we went out, and that's the beauty of the nasty side of the cup. It would be wonderful to go through Christmas through in the cup. We had a terrific draw with a vaccine coming. Hopefully Boris gets his head together rather than his 3 heads off his shoulders, and we suddenly go to tier 1 and we can have football. We go to no tier and the vaccine's here. It would be wonderful. But we love nothing more than every Gillingham supporter bouncing about next week in these difficult times, thinking the Joes have drawn whoever in the Premier League, and they're looking forward to it. And then we're all looking towards the vaccine to see if we'll beat the game.
I guess in some respects, because it's a one-off tomorrow, on the one hand, you haven't got the threat, for want of a better word, of a Tuesday night trip to Exeter. But on the other hand, does that change your mentality in any way at all going into the game because it is a one-off?
No, I think you know the one-off rules. You know, you go to extra time and then you go to penalties. Listen, what does it deprive? It deprives, in times of supporters, in times of TV revenue, it deprives you getting a replay if you're a smaller club. That's what it does. The bigger clubs like us, we don't want replays. I'm quite happy with FA Cup in extra time and penalties. I genuinely think probably stats would tell you get one chance against the bigger teams, if you like. I think if you go for 2 games, the quality normally comes through. The top boys have realised that you're not bad as a team in the league below them or 2 leagues below them. And so from that point of view, you have one chance. In our Crawley Cup runs, I can remember going to beating the likes of Derby County as the first time we played them, going to the likes of Hull, Bristol City, all big clubs, beating these teams and beating them comfortably because we got one crack at them. I've got no doubt with some of them. For example, when we drew with Derby, so when we beat Derby, if we'd have gone back to Derby, we'd have probably been out. When we went up to Hull and win, we'd have been out. Bristol City the same. So you normally get one major crack at them. But if you're organised, you've got good players, which we've got, they're fit, they're available, they want to work hard, they want to be in the next round as much as the staff do, gives you a good chance.
Can I just ask you about Tom O'Connor? Have you had any satisfactory explanation from the Irish football people yet?
I've got a call this afternoon with their under-21s manager. I've already registered on an email. I think they accept it anyway. But we'll have a chat. I said Tommy will be back in full training on Monday. It's not a major issue going forward. It was a major issue trying to go without him and McDonald last week. So from that point of view, I think no one should ever take away Tommy's desire to play for his country, and I'd never do that. I was never good enough. And Tommy, so we'll get explanation. We'll take it and we'll move on. We hope it don't deprive the kid of being there the next time. He needs to be in it when he's fit, give himself an opportunity to perform for his country the way he would like to do so.
And just a couple of things off the back of yesterday's Tier 3 announcement. I'm sure it hasn't escaped your notice that, ironically, the first home game that we've actually got after the 16th of December is Boxing Day.
Yeah, I know, yeah. And it's our old club, we can't get fans in. It's a shame, I think when I was managing at Posh, we came and we revolted a classic in Priestfield, 4-2 to Posh, when myself and Paul went well clear at the top of the league that day. But I can remember the rain men, we were 1-up and cruising, and then suddenly it's 2-1 and they're in full voice and getting right behind the team. And if truth be known, often myself and Paul Rain have gone away from Priestfield and the coach thinking we'd love supporters like that. So we've got them now. We really miss them more than they know, more than they can imagine. And we can't wait to see them back there. They are the football club. It's not me, it's not players, it's not Paul Scally. We're all irrelevant at the end of it. The supporters are for life. And I really do believe that. I bet every club, fortunately, Rotherham, they're there for life. Leeds, they're for life. Crawley, there for life. It's all the way through, and some of the Joes there for life.
One final thing about, obviously, you guys on the bench on the sidelines, because we are in Tier 3, are you going to have to wear masks and stuff like that?
Well, I'll not be wearing a mask, that's for sure. No, I don't think, we don't have to. I think we've got a number of restrictions, which the whole of Tier 3 does. But I think because you're in a league sport, then there's certainly some things that you're allowed to do. Because we're working as part of our role, a bit communication, etc. Then I think we're excused. Good job, though. Good job.
Just imagine there's very few players who would be glad you were wearing a mask.
some of our players would be hoping that my assistant manager wears a mask. He's always at them. Always at them.
All the best to our Gaffer. Thank you.
Thank you, mate.